Hey gang, Uncle Todd here, and now I'm a little behind, but finally got around to seeing episode 1 of Criminal Minds Evolution, and it's great to see the old gang back together. Well, most of the gang. When we open, it's in 2005, and this killer has taken a victim who had survived a suicide attempt into a container, one of those truck containers out in the middle of nowhere, straps him in and begins torturing him. We then switch to 2022, and this man, using a signal jammer, breaks into this home, kills the parents, kidnaps the teenage daughter, and leaves the infant brother alone. Meanwhile, back at that container, Agent Lewis is called in when it's been discovered. At this time, the BAU has been basically separated. They don't all work one case. They are separated out and work many cases. And Lewis is examining the container, and it is filled with bodies, some going back years, some are just bones at this point. And there's also Rossi, who's head of the BAU at this point. He's investigating a murder to the similar one in the house that was broken into, except at this time, or that first one, the teenage daughter was killed too. And when this new one comes up, both Alvarez and JJ are joining in on this investigation, and they feel the unsub is accelerating rapidly and getting better rapidly. And so it becomes a race against time to find the teenage girl. Meanwhile, the deputy director of the FBI is wanting Prentice, who got promoted, to hand the container case over to the DEA. Yeah, the DEA, because he feels it's probably a cartel thing, despite her protests that there is evidence that it could be a serial killer. He doesn't believe so. And they've already got a lot of other cases to work, so send it to the DEA. They have four IT people at this point, and they just cannot get everything to them in a quick enough time. They finally get the footage from a neighbor's camera and realize that the unsub, that's the term they've always used, the unsub stole the family car to transport the daughters. So they put out a bolo on it, and when he gets pulled over, they take the guy in, and it turns out he had just bought that car. He'd done it online and paid cash. So they're at another dead end. And then in looking over the social media, they find that only both victims' only social activity was on a site called Soar, which is a like a Facebook, Twitter, Instagram kind of thing, but only for teenagers as a safe way for them to connect. And so they need to dig into this deeper, but that means they have to go to Garcia, who has moved on and has a new life. And Alvarez interrupts her baking club. She's not happy about that. But she agrees one time only, mostly because she actually did the security for SOAR. She's friends with the guy who created it. And she comes to the conclusion that the unsub has to be 19. She gives this information to the BAU, but Rossi is convinced it's a 40-year-old because of the precision and the kills and everything. The evidence points to a 40-year-old. The tech points to a 19-year-old. But eventually, Garcia pulls up the person who had been having the most conversations with both of them in a chat room about family issues. And he is a loner who was adopted, and he went to juvie, and he's kind of in the wind now, but there's a 2,000-acre plot of land that used to belong to his family that went back to the state and sitting empty. So they rush there, where while they're on the way, that's where the unsub has brought the teenage daughter. And it turns out he thought they had a connection that they didn't have. And he is wanting her to run off with him. And they have a fight. And he ends up shooting himself. The authorities arrive, and the teenage daughter comes out, and she's got a gun to her head because she's realized this teen has killed her parents because of her, and she wants to kill herself, but Rossi talks her out of it. And then when they're going through all the stuff, all his equipment, it's in this box, like a container, waterproof, shockproof container. But it's all old. And Lewis, who's been going through the evidence of her crime scene, sees a report on the news about the rescue, and when she sees the container, she realizes there were several like that, packed with the same things, found in the trailer container, the truck container. So she contacts Rossi. And Rossi says this is an all hands on deck kind of situation. And that container has to be sent to the BAU. Because it's become obvious why the evidence pointed to both a 40-year-old and a 19-year-old. Because the 40-year-old was teaching the 19-year-old, and there may be more out there. So, really good episode. Montaigne, his Rossi has gone through the ringer. His wife has died, and he's just snapping at everyone, and he's trying to do everything himself and go it alone, and he can't. And there's some nice family stuff with JJ and her husband discussing their oldest's first girlfriend, who neither one knows who it is, but they know he has one. And of course, Garcia, she's moved on. She has a life now. She doesn't want to go back to seeing all that ugly, disgusting stuff that she did as a member of the BAU, because she served out her time there. I mean, if you're fans of the show, you know she did not go there voluntarily at first. It was a that or go to jail kind of situation for her hacking things in the past. But of course, they're going to pull her in. But a very good episode. It's great seeing the gang back together. Do miss Reed, but the actor is probably doing other things and probably couldn't do it. And of course, Morgan and Hotchner, they're not going to be there. Morgan, that actor, has his own show, and well, there's still that whole incident that got Thomas Gibson? I think that's Thomas Gibson fired from the show originally. But yeah, it's great to see the cast back together. Aisha Taylor and all of them. And looking forward to the next episode. Please hit like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you next time.